Let's begin in the AFC South.
Cool.
Titans knock off the Colts 45-26. I think the point of this, or the main question, isn't so much how do they win. I mean, It's not a giant surprise that they found a way to win and even that series and to go up by one in the division. I think it's how were they so dominant?
Yeah, that's what it is. You're right.
In beating this defense, and it's really Titans offense, Colts defense. How did they dominate that group that's been really good this year?
It's been really good this year. I think the first thing we talk about is that group that's really good this year. And I don't know if we gave it enough respect on Monday, and I probably didn't give it enough respect leading into the football game, obviously. DeForest Buckner not being there was a huge issue for them. You know, sometimes you don't appreciate how good football players are until you don't see them in the lineup. And then you start to realize, man, I don't think that team would have been able to do that if DeForest Buckner's in there. You know, again, he has so many plays like an Aaron Donald and everything like that that affect the overall offensive play that don't go on the stat sheet. Whether he busts behind the line of scrimmage and messes the play up and now the running back has to run a different way, or whether, we can't call this play this week because I can't leave my guard one-on-one with him on this play. We need to have double teams on him and all that. That affects the game. And you saw that. I mean, we know Tennessee can run the football. To your point, we all know that, right? They're a machine. They only got a few runs, but they do it really well. And what I love about Tennessee is they're not all like a lot of good run teams we're all inside zone. We're all outside zone. That's all we do is those two concepts, and we got a few little different ways we can do it. Tennessee's one of those teams where they can inside, outside zones, probably their bread and butter, but they can do some man-to-man blocking, whether that's straight ahead, man-to-man, double teams, get up to the second level, ISO, weak side ISO, fullback and a linebacker, everybody blocking man-to-man. So they have that element. And I think that's you have to have it if you want to be a good running team, because there's some teams that are going to be, hey, we can stop the inside zone, we can stop the outside zone. All right, so now what are you going to do now? And when you're built around the run game like the Titans are, they always have a few things. And I think that's where I'll start. Like the first drive. Let's just talk about the first touchdown. We talked a little bit on Monday. Yep. Right? He throws the little toss he throws the swing pass to the right. Right. It ends up being a rush because it was a lateral. Right. But it was truly a toss play. For this play in the John Gruden offense would be 98 bunch crunch. Usually you have a bunch, two guys block down, the inside guy of the bunch comes around as you toss it. So now you have a guy that's lead blocking after you block down, and now it's the toss and one guy's out leading the running back. Instead, they did it at a trips right formation. They spread it out. And because their wide receivers are good blockers and they had one tight end over there, they basically went, hey, we're all spread out, but tight end, you block down. You're the middle of the three receivers. A.J. Brown, you're way outside. You block outside. And then they had the inside slot receiver come out as like that puller. Right. And now you got Derrick Henry, throw it out to him, let him go. He's in space, and he's got a lead blocker in front of him. And, of course, once he gets ahead of steam, it's over. And I always like to tie in what we saw last from whatever team we're focusing on. Right. So the week before, Aaron Rodgers and company didn't score a touchdown in that second half against this same Colts defense. The last time they were on that field. Right. So you mentioned the first touchdown. Tennessee scored touchdowns on 4 of their first 5 possessions. Right. It's got to be about more than just the fact that DeForest Buckner wasn't there. Well, no, it definitely not. I think there was some, schematical, advantages that the Titans found within the matchup that I think they probably learned from the first time around. Where up front, yeah. And that's where we'll get, hey, we know that's the first touchdown. We just explained that. Yep. The second touchdown, let's just hit on that real quick. And this is what I love about the Titans, too. They're a run-first football team, as we know. But, they're such a big play team, too, which is so weird. Like, we're Derrick Henry power football. But they have so many drives that are 4 plays, 75 yards. And because of the run game and people worried about it, it leads to, optimal pass looks at times. I think the pass production numbers for Tennessee are so interesting when you connect them with the run game. So you have Brown and Davis, 7 catches, not a lot. Right. But 168 yards. Right, isn't that crazy? Out of those catches. And I know A.J. Brown catches and runs in a very strong, fast way after he gets the ball. But those two have to go together somehow at this point of their identity, that they run it so well and that their yards per catch in these important games are so high. So high. It is because of the running game. It is because of Tannehill's ability to be a great aggressive thrower down the field, as we've talked about a lot. And then Brown and Davis are a great combination to go along with Jonnu Smith, who's damn good too. Right. But, Brown is the over the middle power. I'm going to break tackles and run through and by people. Corey Davis is more the route runner, and it's a great combination between the two. So, hey, play action pass. Hey, little A.J. Brown. Oh, he's flying. No. Okay, let me go to number 2. Corey Davis is running a post corner. It's a more intricate route, but damn, he's open. There you go. That second touchdown. Hey, the Colts are worried about the run game. They're playing cover 1. They're kind of running a run blitz on the strong side. It leaves one-on-one coverage on the backside. He throws a strike to A.J. Brown for a 69-yard touchdown pass.
Accuracy was so good right there.
Right? Accuracy is the key to his game because he lets his receivers always run after the catch, and they never have to break stride. But now they get to the 14, and this is where the exposing that you're asking about. What was it that went on? Right.
Yeah, because I want to hear about this. But I can't tell you how many times I wrote down in my pages of notes looking at this one. Haven't seen a running back all year hit the linebacker part of the defense before he's even touched.
Right.
I mean, if that was a stat that was kept, and Pete, let us know if you have that one. I don't think you do. But just unofficially, the eyeball test of watching a game and thinking, where's the D-line?
Exactly right.
He went through the offensive line, D-line part of the line of scrimmage untouched more than any back I've seen all year.
Yeah, it was impressive, and I think what they learned from the first matchup was, wait, this Colts defense, it's fast. They do some movement up front, slants and stunts and things. It's too hard to zone block that. So they kind of just took the approach of, hey, let's go right at them this time a little bit. They're not real big. DeForest Buckner's not in there. Let's just kind of go right at them, and let's use a fullback. And that, to me, was the story of the football game after those first 2 drives. It was the weak side ISO run. And when I say ISO, I mean ISO as in isolate the fullback against one of their linebackers. And really it's almost a little bit like a zone blocking scheme, but you got a fullback leading you up in the hole. And what they did, when I say weak side bubble, okay, so if the formation's to the left, tight ends to the left, that shade nose tackle to your right, who's right on the edge of the right shoulder of the offensive center, now there's a bubble there. Nobody is on the guard. He has nobody in front of him. And then the tackle, of course, has the defensive end on him. But that setup alone, they abused that. They wanted to go there, and they made sure they did, whether they motioned the tight end before the snap. Okay, hey, the tight end's here. Oh, okay, let's motion them. Oh, wait, the bubble's here. Okay, we're going to go to this side. And if the bubble was somewhere else, they'd go to the other side. And maybe they'd run strong side. But either way, they continually abused that, really, throughout the first half. And what does that do to run to the weak side bubble? Well, like I said, that nose tackle's on the right shoulder of that center. Now the guard and the center, you can kind of both hit him, and now the guard can get up to one linebacker, and now you got the fullback leading up against another linebacker, let alone when that fullback runs through that gap, it creates another gap that the defense has to be responsible for. And they had issues with that repeatedly. And, of course, Tennessee, what I love about them is, like we said, it's not a lot of run plays, but what they do it well, and they do it really well. And like you said, it was always perfectly blocked, and he was going to the second level untouched a lot of times.
So as for this mismatch that you brought up and have kind of highlighted the details of it, a couple of questions. Number one, how come it wasn't there 2 weeks ago when the offense looked so out of sorts when they lost to the Colts?
Yeah, well, it might – it might have been there.
Yeah.
It might have been, hey, listen, you go into a game, team's playing a certain way, you're doing certain things good, and you go, hey, I think we can do this good. Yeah. And then it doesn't work out quite the way you want, and you go back and reevaluate and go, well, hey, they're a little better at this position than we thought, and but there's a weakness right here. Maybe we need to try to expose this. I mean, it can be just as simple as that.
Okay.
You're not always going to have all the right answers the first time you match up with a team, as you know.
Right.
And I think they just reevaluated it. But, that was a huge part of the football game, and really, it is the reason they were up 35-14 in the first half, because there was never really an adjustment made off of it.
That was my next question.
Yes.
And I only bring it up because we've praised the Colts defense for good reason so often the last 2 or 3 months. Why couldn't they make some kind of adjustment?
It was just too slow to do it. They tried different ways of maybe we'll kick the linebackers over there and do those type of things. But that still just wasn't enough of an advantage because that guard-center combo we talked about and the fullback leading up there was still making it tough on them. So, not till the third quarter did we see an adjustment. And what did the Colts do? They took away the weak side bubble. So now they played no bubble. So in a defense where you'd go, okay, if I'm the quarterback and the tight end's to the left, hey, the three techniques to the left usually means that nose tackle shade nose is to your right. Well, they moved that shade nose out and put him head up on that guard. They put him head up on that guard to now where, okay, the guard and center can't get up there and get to the linebackers as easily. And they cheated the linebackers over just a little too. So even though the center has nobody on him, he couldn't just fly up there and cut off one of those linebackers from getting to that weak side. That was the adjustment they made. Too little, too late at that point. And it didn't matter by that time.
We've got some really good numbers here on Derrick Henry. Pete, I don't think I've been watching, Chris. I haven't seen the screen. Have we put those up there?
Nope, I don't think we have. If we have, I haven't seen it either.
Okay, so 27 carries, $178, 3 touchdowns, three running touchdowns in the first half, including that one kind of swing that he caught out of the backfield.
Right.
There it is right there. Couple of things to add on to that. 8 straight road games with over 100 rushing yards ties Chris Johnson, second longest streak since the 1970 merger. Ooh. And I'm going to shrink that down a little bit too, since they came off the field of that bad loss to the Colts a couple weeks ago, beating Baltimore and then beating Indy. 55 carries, okay, for 311 in 2 games they had to have.
Yeah, it's this is where I think, like we talk about him in the MVP race, I think it's got to be right there with Rodgers and Mahomes. Mm-hmm. I right now would go Rodgers, Mahomes, Derrick Henry, and I mean it's close between all three. Like I'm giving Rodgers a hair advantage over Mahomes and Mahomes a hair advantage over Derrick Henry. But it is very close. And, to your point in those numbers, what you're saying, it just shows you. Everything about them goes through that running game. And those explosive pass plays we talk about and everything off of that, they're all there because of that run game as well. Mm-hmm. He's a special human being. They're big up front. They're tough because they're head coach. And they always know how to block the play properly.
Clearly.
Yes.
Certainly looked that way in that game.
Yeah.
Back to the MVP thing, because I think it's a really fun conversation.
Right.
If you look at it as in a question, not who's the MVP, but which one of these 3 players has the most to do with their team who's in first place success?
Yeah.
Does that change it or tilt it to Henry?
No, I think it's still that way. Because I mean,
it's hard to take away from Rodgers.
Right, Rodgers and Mahomes, you're still like, yeah, man, I don't know. They win every game because of them, and they're what they do. So that's where. But I think that's to the point still.
Yeah,
and we're putting him in that class to go. These are special guys.
Yeah.
The team runs through them, and just because this guy isn't underneath the center taking a snap, the ball can still and the team can still run through him too. And they have an identity. We talk about identity.
Yes, yeah. And it seems like it's one that's none of it's easy, but easier to maintain because the 1B there is Tannehill, who for most of the season has played really, really well too.
Keeps you off their back a little bit.
And those other 2 guys you mentioned, although it's hard to find a weakness with Kansas City, but the identity in Tennessee is terrific.
It is. It's a great identity. It fits their head coach. It fits the personnel of their team. It all makes sense. And to button this up, that was a great game plan. Colts are fast as hell.
Yeah.
Darius Leonard's fast as hell in the middle with Walker and how they can go sideline to sideline. Tennessee said, screw that. You know what? You're fast as hell, but you're kind of smaller, so we're just going to run right at you, and let's see how you do with that. And, that was genius, and now they're 8-3, and, of course, in control of that division.
Yeah, how much did the speed matter when Derrick Henry had a 10-yard?
Yeah, it doesn't matter, right. The speed gets taken out when you got people coming at you and you're trying to fit a gap and do all those type of things.
All right, Tennessee up by a game in the AFC South.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.